The banded hip mobilization is a great exercise to use when you're trying to improve the mobility of your hip joint. So we're going to go over a couple of different variations of this exercise today. First, what you'll need. Obviously, a banded hip mobilization will benefit from having a band. The second part, arguably the more important part, is having something sturdy to fasten it to so that you are not going to careen whatever it is that is anchoring the band towards you while performing the exercise. We're going to go over the distraction mobilization first, and effectively what we're doing there is just giving a little bit of space in the hip joint to allow things to move a bit more comfortably. With the aforementioned band anchored to the similarly aforementioned sturdy object, we're going to grab the band and put it as high up into the hip crease as is comfortable. We're going to walk it out a little bit so that we can, as it fights me back into the anchor, walk it out a little bit so that there's a bit of force pulling on that hip joint, and then we're going to drop down to this hands and knees position here. So from here, for the sake of getting through the full range of motion while the mobilization force is in place, you're going to try to relax the leg that the band is attached to and just gently rock back and forth between this kind of maximally bent and relatively straightened position. You'll rock back and forth there for a minute or so on whichever side you are attempting to mobilize. More specifically, coming up out of this one here, we can use that same banded force to apply a different direction of mobilization, so that more specifically, if we're finding, for example, that in the bottom of our squat, we don't quite have enough of that hip mobility to allow us to achieve full depth, we can actually use the band to facilitate that flexion by having it pull downward or from anterior to posterior. And we'll accomplish that in a very similar way. So we're going to take the band, and instead this time of fishing it around through the middle and having it pull from inside, we're going to fish it around from behind so that it's pulling from the front. Similarly, and I'm going to try to not let the band bully me away this time, we're going to come forward into this hands and knees position here so that the band is pulling directly behind us, and then we are going to rock back and forth, letting that left leg relax as much as possible and really letting that band do some work as it helps us get that end range flexion.